Hi, so we're going to talk about sex-linked traits. So sex-linked traits are, or sex-linked, genes traits are found on sex chromosomes. So we're going to talk about the ones found on the X chromosome. So there's two specific diseases or traits that are found on the X chromosome that we talk about in this class. And one is colorblindness and one is hemophilia. Hemophilia is a clotting disorder, like a blood clotting disorder. And we explain it with Queen Victoria, the Romanovs. If you've ever done the Romanov activity on the internet, is so fun. So it's called discovering or recovering the Romanovs. So you get to do that. But basically it talks about sex-linked traits and how they are passed on in this famous family. And so, and it's a blood clotting disorder that males usually get. And since it's a blood clotting disorder, it's where your body fails to clot. And in the 1800s, when they didn't have all the medicines that they have now, what usually happens to kids when they're little? They run around, they go and they climb, and then they fall and they get bruises and they break their arms and whatever. And so if their blood doesn't fail, or if their blood fails to clot and they have a bruise on their leg or they have a cut, they could bleed to death. So it was very rare for the male to live long enough to have kids. And in Queen Victoria's pedigree, you can see that, I think, Nicholas, I think it was him. He was the one that lived to like 20, 22 or so. And so he had a couple kids. But otherwise, usually the males died. Colorblindness is not so drastic, and you can live successfully with colorblindness. And I should have whited out that normal. I added E. So we are going to talk about colorblindness right now. So there's colorblind male. This is the genotype. So here's the phenotype. You have different options, and here's the genotype. So this is what I'm going to give you today. So you have a colorblind male, and in case you don't know, let's go up here. XX, that is female. XY is male. These are the drawings for male and female. If you've ever seen, there's like necklaces and stuff you can buy. This literally means female, and that means male. How do you remember those? There's lots of ways. I'm not going to say out loud. This one my friend uses. She's like holding a mirror. Like it's like a mirror she's holding because girls are vain. I don't know. I don't use that. This looks like a person standing. Here's their head. There's their body. There's the legs. This looks like an arrow shooting out, whatever you want to use. But that's male and that's female. XY is male. XX is female. So when female gives gametes, look at this. They produce 4 during meiosis. So a female puts an X in every single egg. Every egg she produces is an X. A male, when he produces his sperm, can give an X or a Y. So that's why they say the males determine the sex of the offspring, because females are all X's. The male's sperm, whichever sperm makes it to the egg and fertilizes the egg, determines if it's a male or a female. So if the male gives an X, then it's going to be female. If the male gives a Y, it's going to be a male. Okay, so let's dive deep. This is fun to talk about. So colorblind male is X. And since it's on the X chromosome here, this sex-linked trait is on the X chromosome. Notice nothing's on the Y. This is the sex-linked traits we talk about in this class are on the X chromosome. So XC, we gave it a C for colorblind. This male is colorblind. This male is normal. XY, right up here, XY. This female, she has 2 X's. So in order for her to be colorblind, she has to have 2 C genes. XC, XC. That is a colorblind female. This is called a carrier. These are both still normal. They don't have any of the traits or anything like that. They're considered normal, but on the genome, so that would be the phenotype would be normal. But she's called a carrier because she could pass it on to her male sons, right? And this is a normal female, XY, okay? Or, I'm sorry, I just said XY, XX, okay? Normal female. So obviously, by looking at this, we know that colorblind trait is recessive, because if it takes 2 to show up, then you know it's recessive. But males, it only takes 1 because they only have 1 X. So that's why it's recessive, but it still shows up because they only have 1 X to carry it on. That was a lot of information. I hope it makes sense. If it doesn't, pause before we go on. Watch it again. Okay. All right. So we're going to use this. So we are going to cross a carrier female with a normal male. So carrier female for colorblindness with a normal male. Well, female is XX. We know that because of right here, XX, plus it says it. Carrier female. So X, CX with a normal male. Normal male is XY. Okay, we're crossing one trait. We're crossing whether it's colorblind or normal vision. So monohybrid, dihybrid, what do we need? Mono. Very good. Okay, so put the female up here. This should be her eggs. Put the male here. This should be his sperm. Okay. Now we're going to mate them and make offspring. I always write the C first, even though I've taught you this whole time to write the recessive first, or the dominant first. It doesn't really matter as long as you're consistent. You do what works for you. The reason why I write the C first is because of the fact it's always in the front for males, so that's why I put it in the front for females. Okay? I like to be consistent. XY. So let's figure out the genotype. XCX, we have one of those, so 25%. XX, we have one of those, 25%. XCY, one of those, 25%. XY, we have one of those, 25%. So that's the genotype. What is the phenotype? You have to figure out what your teacher wants, because some of them might say this is normal, because technically these are both normal because the carrier, but we're going to do it like this. So we're going to write carrier, because I want you to acknowledge that it's carrier. Female, normal, female. You can write out female, but I was running out of room. Okay, about 25% carrier female, 25% normal female, 25% colorblind male, 25% normal male. It's supposed to be a male. Oh my gosh. It's an arrow. Oh my gosh, male. There, let's try it, write it. So usually there's questions to go with this, like what percent of the offspring will be colorblind? So then you look, what percent are actually 25% are actually colorblind, if that was the question. Okay, what percent of the offspring would be carriers? So then you'd look and say 25%. So if there's questions to go with it, you'll have to look and be able to read it. Okay, let's go on. My brother, no, that's not true. My nephew is colorblind. My nephew. Okay, so we're going to work this backwards because we're going to figure out who we got it from. Because one time at Thanksgiving, we have great holiday discussions. One time at Thanksgiving, my sister-in-law was like, well, if your brother wouldn't have given colorblindness to my son, Ryan, then, she didn't say it like this, but it's more fun to pretend she did. If your brother wouldn't have given colorblindness to my son, then he would be colorblind. And I was like, actually, it's really fun when you tell them what you know. People get mad at you. But whatever. I was like, actually, let's see what I said. Let's figure out what I said. What do you think I said? Okay, we're working backwards. So nephew is colorblind. Okay, what's colorblind? Male, colorblind male. X, C, Y. X, C, Y. Great. So what does the mom has to be XC? She's not colorblind, so obviously she's normal. What does the dad have to be? Well, the dad gave him a Y. So the only way to get a boy is if you got a Y. Remember this up here? The dad obviously gave him a Y because he's a boy. So there's nothing on that. Oh, weird. My brother is not colorblind. So this is what the parents had to be. See how I worked that backwards? I know what Ryan is. Ryan's colorblind. Colorblind male. I know what he is, okay? So how do I figure out the parents? Let's go backwards. Well, the boy can only get the Y from his dad. So there you go. My brother is not colorblind. XY. My sister-in-law is not colorblind. So remember, the carrier is normal. So XCY. So who gave colorblindness? Who gave that to my nephew? Did my brother? I don't even like my brother that much. It's kind of mean. I was like, actually, boys can't give colorblindness to their sons. They can't do it because it's an X-linked trait. And males give Ys to their sons. So therefore, you're the one who had to give it to them. She didn't talk to me for a little bit. Okay, so that's that. But now let's go on. I have two boys, and they check for colorblindness when they're like 6, 7, and they did for one of my kids. They didn't for the other one. So they're checking, and they're like, oh my gosh, did you know? And this is her face. Like he's like getting all the colors wrong. You know, they have to take the test. And they're like, oh, I can't see a number. Oh, you know, and all the dots and stuff. Oh, I can't see it. Google colorblind test, and you can take one online. They're like, he's colorblind. I'm like, okay. He's not going to die. He's fine. He's 7 and he knows all his colors. I'm not worried. Oh my gosh. And then when my other son, I figured it out on my own before anybody else did. He was like 8 or 9. And I bought my daughter these fluorescent, they were gray and fluorescent pink boots for winter. And my son, he wanted new boots, but his were fine. Hers had holes in them, her feet were getting wet. And because this was like, I don't know, January. So you already had your boots for the year. And these, now she got a second pair. Oh my gosh. Can't get one kid a second pair, not the other one. So he's like, I want them. And I'm like, they're pink and that's fine. Boys can have pink, but this son does not like pink. And I know that. He won't wear anything pink. And I was like, really, bud? You want these? These pink and gray ones? He's like, they're not pink, they're orange. He thought they were fluorescent orange and gray. Like swore up and down. And then I laughed really hard. That's how I found out he was colorblind. I'm like, oh buddy, no. And he's like, what? My students apparently think that's mean that I laughed at it. He's like, Mom, what? I go, honey, those are pink. No, they're not. Yeah, they are. Oh my gosh, did I laugh. So my son's colorblind, and then the other one got tested and he's colorblind. Just the other day he said something was green and it was brown, and I'm like, oh my gosh, bless your heart. They're not gonna die. If you are colorblind, it's not a big deal. You will be fine. So let's figure out how my kids got it. So my husband, we're talking about my family again. Hopefully that was all right with you. Husband is normal. Normal. In the colorblind world, he's normal. Okay, I'm normal, right? I'm normal. But what could I be? I could be a carrier if I'm normal, or I could be normal. Okay? So we know my kids, both of my sons are colorblind. How did I get colorblind? We should go back to that. My dad's colorblind. Let's do that instead. My dad was colorblind. Dad, colorblind. What does he have to be? Remember? XCY. So my mom, she is normal. So she could be XX or XCX. She could be a carrier, or she could be that. Okay, let's cross them. XCY. XX. Oh, I forgot the C's. You guys gotta pay attention. Yell at me. XY. Okay, so let's see what happens. So 100% of the girls, of the females, will be carriers. And 100% of the boys are normal. So we could do this one. XCY, XCX. So if we did this one, then 50% of the females have it. 50% of the males have it. So we don't know which one it is. But regardless, I'm a carrier. No matter what, I'm going to be a carrier because all of the females are carriers are here and over here. Either I'm a carrier or have it. Well, I'm not colorblind, so I'm a carrier. So I already know my genotype, me, is this. I know it's this because my dad was colorblind. So no matter what, if your dad is colorblind and you're a female, you're going to be a carrier. Because do you remember this part right here? Do you remember this? Females get X's from their moms, and the only X that dad has the colorblind gene on it, and that's going to be transferred. Because if you gave a Y, you'd be a boy. So if the dad is a carrier, dads can't be carriers. The dad is colorblind right here. All of the daughters will at least be carriers. At least. And if the mom has it, then they'll have it. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm this, XCX. And like I said, my husband's normal. XY. I like to change colors because I feel like it shows up better. XCY, XX, XY. So I have 2 daughters. They could either be, so sometimes you have to pay attention because what's the question asked? Does it say what % of the females are carriers or what % of the offspring? Because if it's what % of the females, you have to cover this up. So female, 50% carrier, 50% normal. So I have 2 daughters. I have no idea what they are. And I won't know until they have kids and if their kids have it. So these are both normal. So now male, 50% of the males are colorblind. Because you have to cover these up. 50% of the males are normal. So my sons had a 50% chance of being normal and a 50% chance of being colorblind. Weirdly enough, they're both colorblind. It's not weird. It's 50% chance every time. Okay, so both my sons are colorblind. My girls, I don't know. Does that make sense? I hope so. This is the exact same for hemophilia. So whether it's talking about hemophilia or colorblindness, you do it the exact same way. All right. So let me know if you have questions. I've been teaching for a long time. I've had one student who was a girl who was colorblind and that whole time. So in order for a female to be colorblind, how does that happen? Let's figure it out. So here, let's do it backwards. So the female is colorblind. So what was her genotype if the female was colorblind? Normal female XX, carrier female XCX, colorblind female XCXC. Okay, so that's what we're going to write down. XCXC. So what did she have to get? XC here, XC here. I should have put her up here. So if this was a Y, so colorblind dad. I wrote that backwards, but the mom could either be colorblind or should be a carrier. Carrier mom or colorblind mom. And so for this girl that had it, her dad was colorblind and her mom was not. So her mom would have had to have been a carrier. Isn't that interesting? So interesting. All right. I'm going to give you a problem to do. And then hit pause and see if you got it right. Okay, I gave you probably all the answers because we did lots of problems together. Colorblind dad. We already did this. With carrier. We already did this too. Let's see if you're listening. Carrier mom. All right. Go back to here. Colorblind dad, carrier mom. Pause. Okay, go. Colorblind dad, carrier mom. Monohybrid cross. Oopsies. Okay, phenotype. This is actually a genotype. This is the phenotype. So 25% colorblind female, 25% carrier. Oh, you can't even see what I'm doing. Female, 25% colorblind male, 25% normal male. All right, I hope you got those all right. That is sex-linked traits in a long nutshell. Any questions? Hope your heart is happy. My son told me this morning at 6 o'clock. Woke me up because, Mom, when I hold my breath, I can still feel my heart beating. He's 7. I'm like, you are a genius. How'd you know that? Because I can feel it. Oh my gosh, what enough. Okay, let me know if you have questions. Bye.